Welcome back to the Postpartum Plan podcast. This podcast is designed to support and empower you through postpartum. Whether you're expecting, in the early postpartum days, or beyond, this space is for you. I'm your host, Madison Fugere, a dedicated postpartum doula and pediatric sleep consultant, striving to help parents feel confident and supported in their parenting journey. Each week, I'm sharing practical tips and expert advice to help you navigate all the postpartum things with confidence. Well, as much confidence as you can. Let's embark on this journey together, making your parenthood as serene and supportive as possible. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I am here solo today to talk all things postpartum planning. And I know we kind of talked about it a little bit before, but I felt like it's been a while. So I wanted to touch base on it again and kind of talk a little bit more about postpartum planning and boundary setting and how to actually have support from your visitors when you're postpartum. I'm going to be totally honest and real here. I have not planned a single thing that I'm going to say in this episode. So you guys are kind of just coming along for a little bit of a rant and a vent with me about postpartum visitors and all that jazz. And I also have to leave in 20 minutes. So we're on a time crunch too, which I think is perfect because it keeps me from rambling too much. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of share some information with you guys. So I talked to a lot of my postpartum clients as a doula about visitors, right? I tend to be the person that gets thrown under the bus, and I tell them to throw me under the bus when it comes to postpartum, right? If your family or visitors or in-laws are doing something with baby that you're not comfortable with, right? Throw somebody else under the bus, whether that be a postpartum doula. If I'm your doula or not, you can totally throw me under the bus. Tell them that you heard it online and that you trust me. Or your pediatrician. A lot of the times, kind of saying those types of things help people to keep them from crossing boundaries that you're trying to set. And so that can be really helpful in some ways. The other thing that you want to think about when you're talking about visitors is preparing for them to help you in a way that you need that help. And sometimes you know what you need preemptively, and other times you aren't going to know what you need until you're experiencing it. So for some people that have an older child, they might know right off the bat that they're going to be taking care of baby and they need somebody to take their toddler out. They need somebody to kill toddler's energy. They need help driving to and from daycare. If you're having a C-section, you might know that you need somebody to drive, right? So you might need somebody to do your errands for you. You might need somebody to drive you to your doctor's appointments or grab groceries for you. And so all of those things are stuff that you want to take into account when creating your postpartum plan. I will have the link below for the postpartum plan workbook. You can head over to Etsy and download it. And there you're going to find a 38-page document that you can fill out by yourself and with a partner. And it's going to help you to at least start or in some cases complete your postpartum plan. We want to make sure that you're prepared for everything that you can be, because postpartum, the last thing you need to be doing is researching, finding providers, etc. So I'm going to walk you through some of the different topics that are in the workbook, and things that if you don't download the workbook, totally understand, but it's things that you can find on there. So the first thing is kind of packing everything that you need. Do you have everything that you need in order to be successful in your postpartum, right? So some of those things include baby things. Some of those things include other stuff. It really just depends. So we're going to kind of walk through that here. So let's see here. We'll start with travel. So some of the things that you might need, and again, these are basics, are going to be a car seat, some sort of travel system and stroller, a diaper bag, and maybe a baby carrier. Now, again, these are very wide range topics. There are so many things out there. So trying to find what's best for you can feel really overwhelming. Utilize your resources, right? If you knew what worked for you last time, or you don't, reach out to support systems like friends who might have already had babies, online resources, or feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to I do sometimes with people one-off. I utilize my Ask Me Anything calls prenatally and do kind of support with people creating baby registries as well. So if you have a birth support system or a postpartum support system like a doula or something like that, those might be a great option to resource as well. So Then we move on to like a sleep category. You're going to need some sort of bassinet or pack and play potentially if you're trying to find something that is for when your baby's smaller or just a crib. Now, I will also say we live in a day and age where things get delivered so quickly and it's easy to run out and grab what you need. And Amazon exists for a reason. So if you are, in team crib, minimalist, just get a crib, don't need to get a bassinet and a pack and play, great. If you're in team, I'm not getting a crib right now. I'm going to wait until, 6 months old at least when I actually need it. And I'm just going to get a pack and play now or a bassinet now. That's also so valid too. I have plenty of clients who don't get a crib until their kiddo's close to a year old, and moving into their own room. I do suggest getting some type of sound machine, on a white noise or whatever. You can get an actual one that stays in the room, or you can get a portable one that's great for on the go. You're obviously going to need some sort of crib sheets, making sure that those sheets are tight to the mattress, and maybe some mattress protectors as well, because those are great also. And then swaddles. That's a whole nother story in and of itself. There is an episode on swaddles. Let me actually look up when I did that because I don't even remember. It was season one, and it was episode 60 that released on May 11th, 2024. Head back, listen to that. I do a solo episode on swaddles that can help out with that. Moving on to diapering, you'll need diapers and wipes, some sort of diaper cream if you're opting for that. I typically suggest like a coconut oil or a Aquaphor on hand, and then a zinc-based diaper cream as well. Some sort of changing pad and changing pad covers if you're choosing to do that. Some people don't. They just end up changing baby on, the couch or the floor or wherever. And in those cases, you do still want some type of a changing pad. My favorite are by Kinder Cloth Co. They are a cloth diaper company and they make the best, most absorbent and soft and wipeable on the other side change mats that are made out of the materials from cloth diapers. So they're beautiful. They are small prints and they are great as well. So definitely check that out. And then also some type of diaper pail. Sometimes people like to have those. Again, this list can be minimalized down or it can be amped up depending on your type of personality, the space that you have, and all that jazz. Bath time. So you need some sort of a baby bath, maybe towels and washcloths, soaps and lotion, and a bath thermometer. Again, could be more in depth. There's so much to it. Health-wise, you need a thermometer, a boogie sucker, saline spray, nail files, medications, things like that. And then gear. Maybe you want some sort of baby apparatus. That could be a bouncer, a swing, an activity center, a tummy time mat. I do suggest sometimes having at least one option of a place to put baby where you know they're going to be safe, and that they kind of can be buckled in somewhere is helpful. But we want to make sure we're not overusing those types of apparatuses. Getting your baby on the floor as much as possible is really great for development as well. With swings and bouncers, babies are so different. Some of them really are great with baby bouncers and swings, and some of them don't like them. So I do suggest like either not opening them, or if you are opening them, just being prepared that baby may or may not like them. Checking those buy nothing groups or Facebook groups in the area that are like selling things for cheaper, fake Facebook Marketplace, resale pages, things like that, because apparatuses like those, as long as they are still not recalled and they're still good to go, they're very easy to kind of throw in the washing machine, clean, and have like a brand new situation. And hopefully your kiddo enjoys that version. Toys and books, so books, rattles, high contrast cards, teethers, other types of toys depending on your personality. Some people like the ones that have brighter colors and light up and have sounds. Some people prefer more open-ended toys and more Montessori styled toys. So it really depends on your vibe with that. Clothing wise, my biggest suggestion is getting two-way zipper footies, footy pajamas, especially newborn and 0 to 3 months. There's really no need to have anything else. Plain old onesies and double-sided zippers. The little tiny outfits are adorable, but they don't typically stay in them very well. Socks always fall off, mitts always fall off. The footies that have flips on the hands are great. So some people say onesies and pants too, some just onesies and footies, whatever works. Bibs, socks, hats, gloves, things like that also can be great. Just depends on the vibe you're going for. And then other section I have like burp cloths, pacifiers, if you're doing a baby book or something like that for mementos and memories, mementos. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. Memories, all that, and whatnot. The next thing you want to kind of prep for is your feeding plan, right? So let's find out what your goals are. So what's your main plan for feeding? Are you planning to breastfeed? Are you planning to pump? Are you planning to do a combination? Are you planning to nurse? Are you planning to do formula? What are you planning to do? And then what do you need for it? So there's a section on the guide that you can also kind of just think through. If you're exclusively nursing, you're formula feeding, or you're doing a mix of two, what types of things do you need? Do you need a nursing bra? Do you need a pump? Do you need formula? Do you need um, bottles? Do you need a sterilizer? All of those types of things to think about. And then in tandem, I also urge you to think about your plan B for feeding. If you are planning to exclusively breastfeed and breastfeeding all of a sudden is not working, what is your plan B? Do you have bottles or do you know which ones you're going to order if you do that? Do you know and have you looked into formula just in case or donor milk? Those are things that you're going to kind of want to think about just in case so that if things do happen, you're not thinking about them after. The postpartum plan workbook also has guides. So there's also a page with tons of information on breastfeeding basics, how to make bottles, paced bottle feeding, and lots of other resources as well. So there's a great, like, not just to help you work things out, but also things to help educate you within this packet. So I do encourage you to head over to Etsy in the link below and download it to kind of check out those resources. The next thing is the reflection pages. So I have each parent doing a self-reflection. So reflecting on what your own childhood was like, what you liked about it, what you didn't, what you want to do differently, and what's important to you in the initial newborn period. Is there anything that you like have or will not allow when raising your little one? Making sure that you're having those conversations preemptively, as well as making your own me time list. What's something that makes you feel like you, helps you calm, ground you, bring you joy, maybe makes you laugh or re-energizes you. Being able to get independent time is also super important. So listing out some of those things that might help you to ground and feel like yourself again in that postpartum period is really important because then hopefully your partner and your support system can be there to kind of take baby and give you a break and help you to go back to this list, re-emphasize maybe some of the things on it and help you feel like yourself. Also talking about parental leave, so sitting down with yourself, your partner, your support system, and discussing, what are we thinking we're going to do? Where are our jobs at? What's the state that our jobs are in? How do we need to submit for different types of leave? Do we get paid leave or unpaid leave? How does that affect our finances? And how long can we be home before that's affecting our finances? Will our job still be there? Hopefully, when we return, but what happens if we return and they are laying us off? How do we handle all of those things financially? And also thinking about like what are our goals during the time that we're off? How long are we off for? Should we be staggering our leaves? And then if we can't do that, what are we looking at for childcare when we return to work? Who's going to be watching our child? What are non-negotiables for us if we have family members or friends watching daycare, watching us? What do we do about if they're sick? What do we do if they're sick? Oh, hopefully that just reconnected. That was very weird. Sorry about that. My mic disconnected, and I'm totally not going to edit that. So you guys might hear something funny. But yes, returning to work. And then also knowing if your kiddo's sick, they can't go to daycare, who's going to be the person that stays home typically? Who's going to be that default parent in those types of ways and whose job is more flexible? Chatting these things through early on keeps from having those heat of the moment disagreements and to kind of preemptively know how you're handling that. And doing that for each parent is great. I urge you to do that independently and then to come back together and reflect together. So what's something in your relationship that you want to keep the same or that you're okay with losing or not losing? Because that's really important to keep your relationship alive. It's also so important to talk about love languages and intimacy, right? Like, are there things that make you feel connected to your partner and intimate with your partner without having sex? Because that's also something that we likely won't be able to have on the table for a little while. And so making sure that you're still being able to be there and present for each other as well is really going to be able to make sure that you can help each other, help your relationship, and help your baby. Also talking about how do you want to communicate different decisions if you're frustrated or upset about a decision that was made, or there's a life or parenting decision coming up that you want to discuss. How are you going to chit chat about that? And how are you going to handle that when maybe one partner knows more than the other about a specific topic? That's where I see a lot of disagreements happen is when one partner knows a lot about babies or knows a lot about caring for children and the other partner doesn't. And in a lot of ways, it can feel very I don't know what word to use. It can feel like one partner is like bossing the other around, and it can be really challenging in that dynamic. So maybe you're hiring a postpartum doula for some support and some information. I've had plenty of clients ask me to help kind of educate and support the partner who doesn't know as much so that they can kind of keep their partner relationship as a partnership and not as a, one person over the other kind of situation. You also want to talk about your sleep. How much sleep do you need? Are you better in the morning or at night? So that if you do split shifts with the baby, who can take care of them when, and needs more sleep than the other in order to truly function? And are there any specific needs that you have from the other person in order to sleep? What can you do to help each other when it comes to rest? There's a chart in here about sleeping goals. It also urges you to talk a little bit more about, what safe sleep practices you're going to be going with and are you comfortable with, and, what your sleeping goals are as a whole. There's information in here about awake windows and sleep as a whole, so that's also a great resource for you. There's an entire page in here about safe sleep. And then we get down to self-care. So you're going to be going from caring for yourself to caring for your partner and putting a tiny human before it all. It's a really big change. And so you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself as well. So maybe writing down some affirmations, things you're grateful for, your self-care goals, or maybe there's things in the self-care schedule that you want to try to accomplish every day or every week in order to feel like you. Then you need to prep for things to do postpartum, right? So having a checklist of things that you need to do, whether that be calling for baby's birth certificate, getting a social security card, getting a birth announcement set up, or messaging a newborn photographer, sending messages to a daycare, or whatever it may be. Having those things all in one place so that you know what needs to be completed when you get home postpartum is super helpful. Then we get into visitor plans and rules and expectations. So, what's a visitor versus what is a support system? What are you looking for your visitors and your guests to support you with? So, having a list of tasks that can be really helpful, and then maybe even laminating that and throwing it on the fridge, allowing your visitors to know, like, hey, I would love that you're here. This is kind of what I'm expecting from this visit. And whether that's something that you send to a message out, like one person at a time when they're coming, or you send a mass email or mass text message out. Sometimes sending this list with a mass email out makes nobody feel singled out. And then everybody kind of knows that they're all being treated the same way. And it's not, anything that you're trying to be mean or upset about, but you just want to make sure that things are going to be in a way that you're feeling comfortable with. You also want to list down all of your support system. Who can you resource and who can you reach out to if you are struggling, whether that be physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever it may be. If you're super exhausted and you need a nap, you want to be able to look at a list of people and be like, hey, yeah, I can text these 3 people and know that if they came over, they could take care of my baby well enough for me to actually get sleep and not worry. Or maybe you're struggling a lot mentally and your partner's going back to work and you're going to be alone for the day and you're worried that you're just going to be whether sad or unsafe or whatever that may be. We want to make sure you have obviously professional resources, but also having your support system around you of who could come over and hang out with you, who could go for a walk with you or take you out for coffee. Those are great things to also have as a resource. Then it comes to food sections. You want to make sure you have meal preferences and allergies listed out so that if people want to drop off, food and do a meal train or come and make you food or meal prep for you, that you have something easily accessible that you can send over to them. There's also a meal planner in here that some people like that have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as well as an other section for snacks, even a grocery list. And then another topic that kind of helps to ease the anxieties is food ordering. So, talking through with your partner and your family, how many nights a week do we feel comfortable cooking versus ordering out? And, how much money do we feel comfortable ordering out with? And how do you plan to feed yourself after baby? Like, who's going to be doing the cooking? What kind of meals are we expecting? A lot of my clients have a struggle with that because a lot of the time I find my birthing people are the ones that often do the grocery shopping, the cooking, the meal planning. And so some of those things fall through the cracks. And what happens is their support systems end up either ordering out a ton and then you spend more money that you're spending more money than you were expecting, or not feeling like truly satiated and healthy or in a way that you're trying to fuel your body, or they are making meals that just aren't quite fulfilling, right? Or they don't like. And so trying to kind of prepare for that ahead of time. Who's going to make the grocery lists? Who's going to do food shopping? Who's going to actually make the meals once they're here? There's a lot of steps when it comes to food. So talking about that is great. Household support wise, making a list of like a chore chart, honestly, of who does what things typically, and then making a list of like weekly and daily cleanings things that you're doing in order for people to, when they're visiting, see what might be around that needs to be done and be able to help out with that. There's also a section for older children, asking about schedules, things that they can do in and outside of the house, what their child's schedule is like, any activities they might need. Same thing with pets, who can come walk your dog or take your kid out for the day. All of those types of things are really important as well. And then lastly, making sure you have an emergency contacts list as well as a resource list. So emergency contacts like poison control, an emergency hotline, fire and police, pharmacies, vets, family doctors, and then just emergency contacts. And then having a resource list that you do research on now. So going online prenatally, connecting with people, and finding somebody that you mesh with when it comes to lactation, pelvic floor therapy, OT and PTs for moms and baby, for parents as well, parenting groups, fertility support, play centers and activity places, postpartum doulas, mental health specialists, chiropractors and bodywork people, and lots of others as well. Having those resources listed out prenatally so that if you get to the point where you're like, wow, I'm struggling breastfeeding, I want a lactation consultant, or wow, I really need to get out of the house. Where can I go? Well, let me look and see what I have for play centers and spaces in the area or postpartum groups in the area. And having those resources done early on, especially for things like lactation or pelvic floor therapy, or even postpartum work, where you want the person that's helping you through that time to be your vibe, can be really helpful to have that done prenatally. So definitely look into that. There's also info in this packet about class prep options. So when it comes to prenatal classes to take, there's also a section on mental health support and lots of other resources as well. So hopefully you're able to take away some of the information from this podcast, but also definitely head over, download the workbook, and see how it can help you to prep for postpartum. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode and have a great rest of your day. Talk soon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Postpartum Plan podcast. I hope that today's episode brought you support, relatability, and valuable insight. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review and share with any of your prenatal and postpartum friends and family. Your feedback helps us reach more parents seeking support. And if you're looking for additional resources, please feel free to connect via Instagram at Serene Moments Doula for constant information, tips, and tricks, or check out my website, www.serenemomentsdoula.com. See you next week.